You want closeness. You run from it. Every word, every touch, every glance is a threat. And yet, every absence feels like a void too vast to survive. You are trapped between two fears. The fear of being seen, the fear of being unseen. The world calls it weakness. The world whispers, "You are broken." But they do not see. They cannot see. You are not broken. You are awake. This tension, the ache in your chest, the restless mind, is not a curse. It is a signal that the life you have constructed outside yourself, in the judgments and expectations of others, cannot hold you any longer. You have been a borrower of identity, a beggar of validation, and now the fracture has come. The fracture is necessary. Pain is not punishment, it is revelation. You leaned into others to feel safe. You measured every expression, mirrored every mood, crafted yourself according to the eyes that watched. And in that crafting, you lost yourself. Intimacy felt like rescue, yet it became a cage. Every betrayal, every withdrawal, every flicker of rejection pierced not just your heart, but the illusion you called self. It is not their failure that teaches you. It is your own reliance on them. They were never the enemy. They were a mirror. And in that reflection, you saw the truth you had long avoided. The desire for intimacy does not vanish. The fear does not dissolve. They coexist, tangled. But now, for the first time, you can observe them, not as threats, not as chains, but as compass points. Where they meet is the very place your growth begins. You step into solitude. You do not hide. You do not flee. You do not seek permission. You stand, alone, but not lonely. Silence becomes your sanctuary. In it, you hear your own heartbeat, your own voice, unmediated by the whims of another. Every boundary you set, every refusal, every quiet choice is a brick in the fortress of yourself. You will no longer negotiate your worth. No one will hold it. You hold it. And in this holding, you discover a strange, intoxicating freedom. Fear is not gone. Desire is not extinguished. But now, you meet them on your terms. You do not collapse. You do not plead. You understand. You channel longing inward, refine it, and let it illuminate the path of your own becoming. Pain becomes your badge. Depth becomes your signature. No longer dependent on applause, reassurance, or the fragile comfort of another's gaze. You are sovereign. You are untouchable, not by cruelty, but by indifference. Not apathy, but clarity. And finally, you emerge. Not happy, not victorious, not triumphant, but clear. Your desire dances without enslavement. Your fear whispers, but it no longer commands. You are fully present, fully alive. They can leave. It changes nothing. They can abandon. It changes nothing. You stand alone, and yet you are whole. You have crossed the crucible. You have faced the abyss. And on the other side, you are yourself, intimate with your own soul, untouchable by opinion, free. You remember the life you built outside yourself. A life measured in approval, nods, glances, the faintest tremor of another's voice. Every smile was a contract. Every silence was judgment. You bent, reshaped, polished yourself for the eyes that watched. You became a reflection of reflection. Your essence diffused, diluted, borrowed from the world around you. You craved connection, yet feared its exposure. You wanted intimacy, but you built walls to ensure you would not be seen. Your soul whispered truths you ignored, while your mind constructed illusions to keep you safe. You thought you were clever, but cleverness was the mask of fear. And in that mask, the real you suffocated. You sought rescue in another, as if closeness could repair the fracture you denied. You handed them your center of gravity, expecting that their presence could stabilize you. You made them your anchor, and yet anchors are not freedom. They are weights, chains disguised as safety. Every retreat of theirs, every shift in attention, became a tremor through your being. You mistook their movement for betrayal, their absence for doom. You measured yourself against their gaze. You mirrored their moods. You anticipated their desires. And in doing so, you abandoned your own. Every compromise was a surrender. Every concession was a small erasure. You were not building a self. You were constructing a borrowed echo. An echo that feared its own voice. Intimacy became both sanctuary and snare. You longed for it, yet every step closer triggered panic. You were trapped in loops of longing and recoil, desire and terror, craving and defense. The paradox consumed you. And yet, this very paradox is what awakens you, if only you could see. Short bursts of clarity come as whispers in the night. You are not broken because you feared. You are alive because you feel. You are not guilty for depending. You are guilty only if you refuse to learn. Every tremor of anxiety was a map pointing to the hidden corridors of your own self. You learn that dependency is a silent predator. It thrives in the unexamined mind. It slips into routines, habits, attachments, and demands. It convinces you that safety lives outside your own chest. And until you recognize it, it quietly devours your power. You look back at yourself then and feel a strange tenderness. That version of you, the one who craved so fiercely, feared so profoundly, was not weak. It was incomplete. It was waiting for the fracture, waiting for the confrontation with truth. It could not have known, in its borrowed life, the strength that lay dormant within. And so, you stand on the edge of realization. You begin to see, fear and desire are not enemies. They are the signposts of growth. They are mirrors of dependency, showing where you have placed your life in the hands of another. And as long as you fail to reclaim yourself, they will continue to haunt you. Every heartbeat reminds you, you have given away your life to what was never yours. Every craving whispers, connection without sovereignty is a trap. Every recoil shouts, freedom is not found in the arms of another, but in the steady knowing of your own soul. Short, surgical clarity. You have been a beggar for affection. Now you are learning to be sovereign. You have been a mirror of others. Now you begin to reflect only yourself. You have been terrified. Now you are becoming vigilant. The old structure, the borrowed identity, the anxious attachment, the craving and recoil is collapsing. And this collapse, painful though it is the first act of liberation. The fracture comes. It does not announce itself politely. It does not seek permission. It arrives with the inevitability of a storm, ripping through the illusions you have clung to, dismantling the scaffolding of borrowed identity. And in that moment, you feel the full weight of yourself exposed, trembling, utterly unprepared. You look for blame. You want to find a culprit. But the truth is sharper than any accusation. It was never them. It was the structure you had built, the walls you had leaned on, the center of gravity you had surrendered. The fracture was inevitable because the foundation was never yours. Pain speaks in clear, unrelenting language. It tells you what you have ignored for years, that safety was never outside, that love was never a transaction, that validation was never a gift. You were relying on the fragile hands of another to hold what could only be carried within. And now the illusion collapses. Short, piercing observation. It was not betrayal, it was revelation. It was not rejection, it was instruction. It was not loss, it was an awakening you could not avoid. You feel everything at once, the longing, the terror, the emptiness. Your mind screams, this is too much. But your soul whispers, this is exactly enough. Every instinct urges you to flee, to hide, to numb yourself. But if you listen, you hear another truth, subtle yet insistent. This is the doorway. The fracture is the teacher. The pain is the signal of awakening. You see the paradox. The very thing that terrifies you, being fully exposed, fully vulnerable, fully real, is the gateway to power. You have wanted connection, yet feared exposure. Now, exposure has come, and in facing it, you cannot avoid the question, will you collapse into the old patterns, or will you see yourself? The fracture is merciless. It strips away excuses. It lays bare the borrowed self. It leaves you with nothing but the raw materials of your own being. And here, in this barren clarity, you meet the most honest version of yourself. Short, hypnotic reflection. This is the crucible. There is no shortcut. Every longing, every recoil, every tremor has brought you here. The fracture is your guide, not your punishment. You may feel rage, sorrow, fear, all natural, but let them pass like winds over sand. Do not clutch them. Do not fight them. Do not flee. They are not the enemy. They are the teachers pointing toward the inner sanctuary you have yet to enter. And in that emptiness, you hear the first faint pulse of sovereignty. It is small, it is fragile, but it is yours, unclaimed by anyone else, unborrowed, unassailable. The fracture teaches you the world is not the source of your safety. Another's hands are not the measure of your worth. Intimacy without sovereignty is illusion, and fear without examination is a cage. You are trembling because you are alive. The old structure is gone, and in its absence, you are given the rarest gift, yourself. Short, surgical one-liner. Everything that terrified you was pointing to the only thing that matters, you. You stand amid the ruins. The borrowed walls have fallen. The anchors you clung to are gone. The fracture has left you exposed, raw, trembling. And yet, in this exposure lies your first freedom. You step into solitude. Do not mistake it for loneliness. It is the sanctum of your own presence. Here, the world cannot reach you. Here, no one's gaze can bend your spine. Here, silence speaks the language of your soul. Listen. The first lesson, power is quiet. Not loud declarations, not displays, not borrowed authority. Power is the calm pulse beneath fear. It is the steady hand that touches nothing, yet holds everything. It is the knowledge that you can meet desire without collapsing into it, that you can witness fear without fleeing from it. You begin to rebuild. Every boundary you set is a brick, every refusal a wall of steel, every honest word to yourself a cornerstone. You construct not for others, but for the one who matters most, you. Desire is not enemy, it is energy, a river running through your chest, seeking expression. You do not dam it, nor do you drown in it. You channel it, you turn it inward, refining it, tempering it, understanding it. It becomes fuel, not distraction. Fear is not enemy. It is the compass, pointing to the areas yet unexplored. You meet it face to face. You study its angles, its rhythm, its logic. You do not shrink from it. You do not resist it. You understand it. And in that understanding, you are no longer its prisoner. Every day you practice presence. The world presses against you, but you are unmoved. The gaze of others, the fluctuation of fortunes, the ebb and flow of connection, these no longer define you. Your center is internal. It is a fortress, silent yet unassailable. You begin to feel the strange intoxication of sovereignty. It is not arrogance. It is not isolation. It is clarity. You are fully aware of your own worth. You are fully present with your own heart. And in that awareness, the world cannot unsettle you. One-liner to echo in silence. You do not need permission to exist. You do not need validation to matter. You test your new self in the small moments. You allow intimacy on your terms. You step closer, and if the heart recoils, you stand firm. You observe, you participate, you retreat when necessary. Not as avoidance, but as mastery. Every interaction becomes a mirror, and you no longer drown in it. You now swim alongside yourself, unshaken. You understand the romance of depth, the pain, the longing, the fear. They were never marks of weakness. They were markers of potential, the scars, the fractures, the trembling they are, the raw materials of a self that refuses to be borrowed. You look inward and feel a pulse that was always there, strong, steady, indomitable. You have met your own eyes in solitude, and they are unwavering. You have touched your own heart, and it is vast. You have faced your own fear, and it bends to no one. Another one-liner, sharp and reverberating. You are the gravity now. Everything else orbits you. Intimacy will come. Desire will rise. Fear may whisper. But you are sovereign. You do not collapse. You do not flee. You observe. You act. You choose. The power core is complete when you realize every fracture, every betrayal, every tremor was preparation. The pain was the forge. The solitude was the hammer. Your will was the anvil. And now, standing fully in yourself, you feel the first true pulse of freedom. It is not loud. It is not triumphant. It is quiet. It is steady. It is immutable. It is yours. You have crossed the crucible. The fracture has healed not in the way of forgetting, but in the way of understanding. You carry the marks, the scars, the tremors, but they no longer command you. You are no longer reactive. The world can sway, crumble, praise, or abandon. It changes nothing. You are steady, unshaken, indifferent, not with apathy, but with clarity. You are awake. Your desire does not enslave you. Your fear does not bind you. They exist as companions, not jailers. You feel longing without panic. You feel hesitation without paralysis. You act and you choose, because you are sovereign. The mirror no longer holds judgment. The gaze of others no longer weighs. You do not seek approval. You do not hide from exposure. You are fully present with yourself, and in this presence, the world becomes secondary. Short, sharp reflection. They can leave. They can reject. They can betray. It changes nothing. You stand alone, and yet fully alive. You glimpse the romantic truth. Depth is born in pain. Mastery is born in solitude. Freedom is born in the courage to face your own heart. You have felt the terror of intimacy and the ache of longing, and now you hold both without collapse. Your center is internal. Your pulse is steady. Your self is unborrowed. You smile not for the world, not for others, but for yourself. The paradox of fear and desire no longer tortures you. It enlightens you. It reminds you that life is neither safe nor simple, yet it is yours to navigate, sovereign and unshakable. Final one-liners echoing in the silence. You do not collapse into love. You rise into it. You do not flee from fear. You stand beside it. You are whole. You are clear. You are yourself. And in this state, you understand. True intimacy begins within. True desire is anchored in clarity. True freedom is indifferent to external whims. You have arrived at the edge of mastery. You have crossed the fire of pain and emerged tempered. You do not seek. You do not plead. You do not bend. You act. You choose. You exist fully. You are the gravity now. Everything else orbits you. You stand alone. And yet, you are not lonely. You are alive, clear, sovereign, free. You move through the world, and it moves through you, yet you are unmoved. The streets, the faces, the glances they pass, like clouds over a mountain peak. You are steady. You do not bend. You do not plead. You do not hide. Every step you take is your own. Every breath is a reminder of sovereignty. Others may stumble, may tremble, may fall into the chaos of their own fears. You observe with quiet fascination, with a steady pulse. You are not detached because you are cruel. You are detached because you are clear. Their storm is not yours to weather. Their judgments do not define your gravity. You are the axis upon which your own universe turns. Intimacy comes now, as it always does, not as a savior, not as a necessity, but as a choice. You can approach it with curiosity. You can retreat when it threatens to consume. You are no longer at the mercy of desire. Desire is now a tool. It is a brush in your hands, painting connection without surrendering self. You feel longing, yes, but it excites rather than enslaves. You feel vulnerability, but it does not break you. And when you are rejected, abandoned, or misunderstood, you do not collapse. The tremor may pass through your chest, a whisper of old memory, a shadow of past dependency. But you do not flinch. You do not scream. You do not clutch. You simply observe. You breathe. You remain. Short, sharp truth. The world may turn. People may fail. But you remain unbroken. The old self, the anxious, craving, recoiling self, is a ghost in your mind. You may glimpse it like a flicker in a shadow. You nod to it, acknowledge it, but it no longer commands the stage. You hold the reins. You measure your own steps. Every boundary, every refusal, every decision to act or stay silent is proof of mastery. Pain, once unbearable, now shines with quiet beauty. The fractures, the betrayals, the trembling nights, they were the architects of depth. You recognize that the very terror of intimacy, once suffocating, was the furnace that tempered your soul. Every scar, every hesitation, every shiver of fear is now a badge, a mark of sophistication, a signature of resilience. Desire and fear walk with you like twin companions. Desire illuminates the path, a flame burning without scorching. Fear whispers, but you listen, not as a victim, but as a scholar of your own psyche. You read its signs, you honor its presence, you transform its power into insight. It is no longer a chain, it is a guide. You feel it, understand it, and move through it with deliberation. The paradox that once tormented you now fascinates you. How you once craved closeness while fleeing it. How you once longed to be seen while hiding every truth. Now you meet both forces consciously. Now you feel longing rise and fear whisper, and you stand firm. You do not collapse. You do not recoil. You observe. You choose. You act. Short, hypnotic pause. You do not chase. You do not flee. You are present. Your gaze falls on the world, and it seems softer, yet sharper. You notice the fragility of others' dependencies, the quiet terror in the smiles, the subtle desperation in gestures. You feel empathy, not pity, not superiority, but understanding. You have walked through the fire yourself. You have touched the abyss. You have felt fear, despair, and longing in the rawest forms. And now you meet others where they are, without needing to save or be saved. Every interaction becomes a mirror. You see your own clarity reflected back. You act with calm, measured intent. You speak from truth, not from fear. You listen from presence, not from expectation. And in these small acts, you discover the rhythm of mastery. The subtle, quiet, inexorable assertion of self without violence, without compromise, without desperation. One-liner, you are sovereign. Even in intimacy, you do not yield. You begin to romanticize depth. Pain is no longer a curse. Fear is no longer a prison. Longing is no longer a tormentor. They are the brushstrokes, the texture, the rhythm that gives life its gravity, its beauty, its weight. You feel the exquisite irony. What once threatened to break you is now the very thing that shapes you. The world offers no guarantees. You know this now, with absolute clarity. Connections may come and go, people may falter, desires may shift, but your center remains intact. Your pulse remains steady. Your sovereignty is unshakable. You sense the quiet power in being fully yourself, not performing, not pleasing, not negotiating, simply being. Every heartbeat, every breath, every glance inward reinforces it. And in this stillness, you experience something rare, a freedom untethered from circumstance, from expectation, from judgment. Short reflection. You do not collapse into love. You rise into it. You do not flee from fear. You stand beside it. You feel the pulse of your own existence, resonant, sovereign, unclaimed by others. You smile, not for the world, not for validation, not for affirmation, but because you are fully, unmistakably alive. The paradox that once haunted you, the craving and the terror, the longing and the recoil, is now your companion, not your master. And finally, you rest in the clarity of being. The fractures, the betrayals, the sleepless nights, they have given you something extraordinary, yourself. A self no longer dependent, no longer reactive, no longer borrowed. A self that stands alone, yet fully alive. A self that is sovereign, clear, and unshakable. One-liner crescendo. You are the gravity now. Everything else orbits you. You are awake. You are alive. You are yourself. And in this awakening, you feel the rarest, most profound peace, the certainty of sovereignty. No one can take it. No one can fracture it. You hold it, and it is infinite.